So welcome back. We are continuing to learn the Rebbe's Sichas to Tzivas Hashem. And this particular Sicha was delivered Gimel de Cholamoid Sukkis, Tavshmim Aleph, as well as Chav Hei Kislev Tavshmim Aleph, but it is included here in the Rebbe Redt Kinder under Parshas Matos in connection with the verse Hei Choltzu Me'itchem Anoshim Latzava. Gather men, military men for fighting. Draft fighters for the war. Talking about the war that Moshe led the Jews in against Midian. Okay, so let's take a look here at the Sicha. Mahot shoin viel mal geredt. We spoke many times. As die Teire ruft on dem Yiddischen Volk Tzivas Hashem. Teire refers to the Jewish people as Tzivas Hashem. And the footnote there refers to Pasuk in Parshas Bay. When the Yidden were leaving Mitzrayim, it refers to them as Tzivas Hashem. There are many different meanings of Tzivas Hashem, but one of the meanings is Dem Eibishtin's Armee, Hashem's army. Und davon versteht man, therefore we understand, as die Gutes darin, was seinen eingeführt in a Gashmiistische Armee, the good order that they have, that are part of a literal army, seinen euch voran in der ruchniistische Armee von Tzivas Hashem is also present in the spiritual army of Tzivas Hashem. Now, I just want to mention, I'm sure many people, especially in this group, are aware of there's a letter originally in English from the Rebbe from the 26th of Tevis, 5742. That is corresponding to the English date, January 21st, 1982. And this was right at the beginning of Tzivas Hashem. And the Rebbe is responding to someone who is critiquing the Rebbe's choice of a military theme. So I'll just read some parts of the letter. Greeting and blessing. This is my first opportunity to acknowledge receipt of your letter of December 15th, 1981. In it, after kindly paying tribute to the works of the Lubavitch movement, you express your reservations about the Tzivas Hashem campaign on the ground that it is based on the glorification of the military and an aggrandizement of arms, wars, and battlefields. Okay, so the person's concerned about the military theme. A letter is hardly the proper medium to explain fully the reasons that impelled us to introduce the establishment of the Tzivas Hashem organization, the purpose of which is to bring young Jewish children closer to Torah and mitzvahs, as I am glad to note you fully recognize. Needless to say, it was done only after due deliberation, which I can only briefly outline in this letter. And then the Rebbe goes on to explain some of the reasons why Tzivas Hashem was chosen. First of all, the Rebbe mentions Tzivas Hashem is a name that the Jews are referred to when they're leaving Egypt, and that it's not exclusively a military term. It has other meanings as well. But yes, it also has a military connotation, and yes, that connotation is being emphasized in the Tzivas Hashem Youth Organization. But the Rebbe notes that, of course, the Torah does not glorify militarism, war, and the like. On the contrary, its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. But the Rebbe mentions, with all of the Torah's emphasis on pacifism, interesting, Torah is by and large a pacifist way of life, but at the same time, the Rebbe says, to be sure, Rabbi Akiva's fame rests on his spiritual contribution, but there was a time when he found it necessary to be Bar Kochma's arms bearer, as the Rambam, Maimonides, notes in his code, Hilchas Malachim 11.2. We just had a Siyum Rambam. We just read that halacha, right? So, yeah, by and large, we're a nation of scholarship and of spirituality. Rabbi Akiva, what was he famous for? He was a rabbi, a teacher. But when it came time for him to support a military movement, he was an arms bearer for a king. And then it's interesting that Rebbe mentions something about Tzivas Hashem, the military theme of it, actually serving a certain purpose and then not being needed any longer. I'll just read you this portion as well. The whole campaign is limited to children of pre-bar mitzvah and pre-bat mitzvah age. The idea is that reaching that age, they become full-fledged Jews, and by then they will have had the benefit of the experience and will realize that it had served its purpose for them. In other words, the military theme is for a certain age, and then you outgrow it. But at a certain age, it is very important. Also, the Rebbe mentions that when we considered the different military themes. The Rebbe said, for instance, he says to the letter writer, you mentioned spy missions. We have no spy missions. There's no spying. We don't do spying. We don't include that at all. And then the Rebbe goes on and explains the real main reason why the Rebbe wanted to use this military theme. And the Rebbe speaks about a lack of Kabbalah's Oil Malchus Shamayim, a lack of acceptance of the heavenly yoke in our day and age. And the Rebbe says, when there's not self-discipline, then the only thing left is fear of punishment. But nobody has fear of punishment either. In other words, fear of punishment it's not like we like fear of punishment, but when you have no choice, so fear of punishment. But we don't even have fear of punishment, so we can't use that. So what are we going to do? So the Rebbe says, we got to get them to self-discipline them somehow. I came to the conclusion, I'm just going to read this paragraph, that there was no other way, that's a strong statement, than trying to effect a basic change in the nature through a system of discipline and obedience to rules which she/he can be induced to get accustomed to. Moreover, this is a big statement, for this method to be effective, it would be necessary that it should be done freely and readily accepted without coercion. Very, very interesting. So on one hand, it's military, it's discipline, it's obedience. At the very same time, the Rebbe is saying it has to be voluntary, without coercion. They have to want it. It has to be attractive to them. Okay, the letter is much longer, and it's very, very much worth your read, even if you've read it before. It's worth reading again. Just a real eye-opening letter with some really foundational concepts. So I just encourage everybody to take a look at it if you haven't, or if you have. Okay, but let's continue here. Mezet wie es führt sich in jeder Armee, der Fahr, was sei, ist das eingestellt geworden durch dem Eibishtin in seine Armee, in Zivas Hashem. Aber Schas, es kommt zu, a spezielle Methode, a spezieller Ziel, man darf das durchführen, gorgich, auf dem schnellsten Eufen, nimmt man herein in der Armee neue Reserven, neue Soldiers, in Zugob zu die, was seinen Gewinn von früher. We see in a regular army, and also in Hashem's army, that when there's a new mission, a new goal that needs to be accomplished, and we need to accomplish this goal as quickly as possible, what do? What does an army do? There's a draft. We call up the reserves, he says first. We call up the reserves, and we get new soldiers. We have to draft new soldiers. It says, in dem Eibishtin's Armee, in Tzivas Hashem. So the same thing in Hashem's army. In unser dort de Ikvas de Mashiach, der letzte der Fahr Mashiach. So in our generation, the last generation before Mashiach, ist zugekommen die spezielle Aufgabe und Ziel. We have a special mission, a special target. Aber darf zu eilen und dergleichen dem Nitzochen von herabbringen Mashiach Mehera now. We have to hasten and we have to accomplish the victory of bringing Mashiach speedily now. Okay, so we have this job to do and we have to do it quickly. Ubemela, therefore, is in Zugab zu die Tzivas Hashem, wo seine Gewinn in alle friedige Deures und seinen do Itzter. So in addition to all the Hashem's army that there always was, all along in all the generations, and as well as whatever army there is at present, rukt herein und schickt herein neue Reserven. We mobilize new troops, neue soldiers, new soldiers, neue Yiddish Kinder, new Jewish children, Jingelach und Mädelach. Azay sollen lernen Teira mekayim sein mitzvahs, was das ist der Neshek, der Waffen von Tzivas Hashem, that they should use the weapons of Tzivas Hashem, which is learning Teira and doing mitzvahs. Und durchführen auf dem schnellsten Eufen, dem Ziel, was der Rebbe, der Commander-in-Chief von Tzivas Hashem, hat gestellt for unser der. And in this way, we accomplish as quickly as possible the mission that the Commander-in-Chief has given for this generation, which is, the Rebbe says again, bringen die Geula in an Eufen von now, durch Tzemach, David, Avdecha, Mehera Satzmiach. Bringing the Geula now in a manner of the descendant of David will quickly flourish. Quickly, Mehera, quickly flourish. Okay. I want to bring out a point here. Very, very important point, I think. So the Rebbe is talking about we need to call up the troops. We need to mobilize new troops. We need to have a draft. This is so radical. It's so radical, not just to speak to children this way, but even to speak to adults this way is radical. And I'll tell you why. Because generally speaking, when Jewish leadership speaks to the masses and appeals to the masses to improve their ways, it's always in some way a what's in it for me argument. Either you're going to be punished if you don't, or you'll be rewarded if you do. But the point is, we're trying to sell Yiddishkeit to our customers. The Rebbe flips the whole thing on its head and he says, no. Ask not what Yiddishkeit can do for you, but what you can do for Yiddishkeit. You know, the Rebbe spoke a sicha after Kennedy launched the Peace Corps. The Rebbe was saying, I'm going to have my own Peace Corps, right? The whole idea of what can you do for us? Don't ask us why you need Yiddishkeit in your life. That's not the discussion right now. Yiddishkeit needs you. And we need you urgently because there's a job. There's a job. Hashem has this very urgent mission of bringing Mashiach now. And in order to do that, look, any army that needs to accomplish their goal quickly, they have to bring up new troops. You know, they say one of the reasons why America could never win in Vietnam is because they had universal military conscription, which means that every single man, woman, and child was a member of the army. The Geneva Convention is not prepared for dealing with that. Traditionally, what's an army? An army is men, adults. I mean, that's even in the Hecholtsu, from the Parsha Tayin, Parshas Matos is talking about men, adults. The Rebbe's innovation is men, women, and children. You know, I was Shabbos once in Detroit, in Yeshiva, and so Beryl Shem Tov was talking about how the Rebbe doubled his chassidim with one word. What did he say? The Frierdiker Rebbe also had the idea of a michtav klali, a general letter. But the Rebbe added a word. Instead of l'chol b'nei Yisrael, or in addition to l'chol b'nei Yisrael, l'chol b'nei u'b'nais Yisrael. B'nais, to all sons and daughters. So all of a sudden the Rebbe doubled his chassidim. Because now the Rebbe is speaking to b'nei and b'nais, to the sons and the daughters. In previous generations, a chassid was a boy, a man. And then a woman, what could she aspire to be? The wife of a chassid, right? The Rebbe said, no. My chassidim are men, and some of my chassidim are women. I have both. I have chassidim who are men and chassidim who are women. And the Rebbe went even further than that. And I have some chassidim who are children. Because you have to understand something. We need to finish this job, and we need to draft everybody. Men, women, children. Everybody gets drafted when you're trying to finish the job. So it's this incredible idea of not coming to the child and selling the child on Yiddishkeit, but coming to the child and saying, listen, I don't have time to explain to you right now why this is good for you. Trust us, we need you. You're good for us. See, we're afraid to do that. We're afraid to tell people we need them, which is such a mistake. You know, I'll tell you very quickly. I was once at a C-Teen leadership Shabbaton. So C-Teen did a thing for the chapter leaders. These were the students who are like the most vocal and the most involved. And they recruit other students. So we spoke about recruitment. We spoke about recruiting tactics that work and recruiting tactics that don't work. And basically, what do we figure out? Anytime you try to sell them, oh, there's this great group, oh, you're going to have so much fun, oh, it's so important, oh, it's so meaningful. However you try to sell them, if you try to sell them on meaning, sell them on fun, sell them on the social aspect, people are busy, they don't have time. You know, okay, fine, I'll add it to my list of other things that when I get around to it. But if you give them a job, oh, we need you to set up chairs. Oh, we need you to bring the refreshments. Oh, we need you to take pictures and post on social media. Whatever it is, when you tell them that they're needed, they have a role, they're there. And not only are they there, they bring people with. The Rebbe really innovated this approach of not selling Yiddishkeit to Yidden, but I would almost use the word pleading with Yidden. We need you, please, we need your help. in order to accomplish this job quickly. And it's just a totally different approach. It's a totally different psychology when approaching an adult, and how much more so when approaching a child, who usually you lure the child with some type of a reward, a carrot or stick, reward or punishment or whatever. And this is, no, just, we need you. Incredible idea. Now, let's continue here. Und das ist der Tafkid und die Schleimes von jeder jischen Kind, Jingele und Mädele, wo nur sie gefinnen sich, wo nur sie seinen, gefinnen sie sich dort, als Ben Avram, Yitzchak, Yankiv, und Basara, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. This is a mission for every single Jewish child, wherever they are. Doesn't matter where they are, because wherever they are a child of Avram, Yitzchak, Yankiv, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Kedei zu noch mehr verschnellern dem Zof von Golus und die Geula durch Mashiach Tzidkenu. The Rebbe again emphasizes the speed to hasten the coming of Mashiach. Darf man haben neue Reserven, neue soldiers. We need the new reserves. We need the new soldiers. Neue Tzivas Hashem. We need new Tzivas Hashem. Was sie sollen verstärken die Tzivas Hashem, was seinen Verein bis itzter. And they will strengthen the Tzivas Hashem that was here until now. In other words, until now, the army was only a certain segment of the population. No, now the children are coming to join in the movement, strengthen the movement, reinvigorate the movement. Look what the children are doing for Yiddishkeit. That der Rebbe und gibt Koyach dazu, als sollen zukommen und gedreft werden, neue Tzivas Hashem in Zugab zu die Frediker. So, Hashem gives koyach that there should come and be drafted new Tzivas Hashem in addition to the ones who were there before. Und der Rebbe, therefore, now, watch this. We just told the child, come on, quick, we need you. You're drafted. We need you. Reminds me of that Yom Kippur song, right? With the truck, they're coming Yom Kippur, they happen one, I don't sing, but anyway, it's a famous camp song, okay? Anyways, but now in addition to this, you're drafted, come on, we need you. Okay, now we're going to go another place, here. Und der Rebbe in Zugab dazu, was jeder Kind darf allein bepeil anheben tun in Tzivas Hashem, mit dem Neshek von Waffen von Tzivas Hashem, lernen Teire mekayim sein mitzvah. So in addition to the fact that every individual child needs to use the weapons of Tzivas Hashem, learning Teire and doing mitzvahs, darfen jüdische Kinder bemühen sich zu reinziehen und mobilisieren noch jüdische Kinder, als sie sollen volontieren zu reingehen in Tzivas Hashem. They have to go, not only is it enough that they volunteer and they get drafted, they have to go bring in other recruits for the same reason that we said before. We need to finish this job, so we need everyone. Okay, fine. So that means you. Come on. And now that you're with us, you know what you need to do? You need to get another. We need another one and another one and another one. Ubefrat, as a Mitglied von Tzivas Hashem, darf doch mekayim sein die mitzvah von v'yafta l'recha kamecha. Especially one of the missions of a member of Tzivas Hashem is to love your fellow as yourself. You just volunteered and joined Tzivas Hashem. Obviously, it means it's a good thing. So come on, get the next kid. Was is a klal gadol b'Torah? V'yafta l'recha kamecha. Rebbe Akiva says a big rule in Torah. B'meila, wenn zet a Yiddish kind, was is noch nit kein Mitglied von Tzivas Hashem. So when he sees a child who's not yet a member of Tzivas Hashem, legt sich herein zu hereinziehen dem Kind in Tzivas Hashem. So he applies himself to attracting that child to join Tzivas Hashem durch Reden Hartzik, speaking from the heart. Und noch mehr, furthermore, durch sein a guter Beispiel, by being a good example. Und b'shas horvet stark auf dem. Is a sicher Sach. So if he works hard at it, it's guaranteed. Another one of our 12 psukim, as your guide to Matzasa, mevet matzliach sein, to reinziehen him in der Armee, he will succeed in recruiting this next person to also join. Now, here's an interesting concept. We know we're trying to do something that's never been done before. We're trying to finish the job of all generations. So we have to do something they never did. They never finished the job. So they started it, but we have to finish it. That's never been done before. So in order to do something that's never been done before, you have to do something that's never been done before. So what are we going to do that's radical? What are we going to do that's new? What are we going to do that's, never been tried? So here's the thing. It's very interesting. Such a shilov, such an intertwining of forward thinking and preserving tradition all together at the same time. what's this new radical thing that we're going to do that was never done before? Watch this. Und die neue Reserven, the new reserves that just got called up, nutzen dich demselben Waffen, was die Prediger haben genutzt. Dieselbe Mitteln von Teiro und Mitzvahs. Was das ist ein ewiger Waffen, wollen sicher matzliach sein und zubringen dem Nitzachen auf dem Yetzer. They use the same weapons. They use the same means, that the traditional means that were always around, because they are Torah mitzvahs, which are eternal. So here's the thing. What's the new thing? The new thing is there's not new Torah, new mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs it's eternal. What's new is, see, they're doing the same Torah mitzvahs that was always done. What's new is who's doing it. Who's doing it? It's a new thing. Now, even little children are involved. Now, even little children are recruiting other little children. What's new is we're bringing in new people, fresh blood, who weren't considered part of the army. And that's the real attitude. The real tag you're it attitude of Tivus Hashem, of the Rebbe's vision for our generation in general, is it's not just enough to influence another person. You have to turn others into influencers. Or like Jonathan Sacks famously said about the Rebbe, that good leaders make followers, great leaders make leaders. So not only are the children becoming members of Tivus Hashem, but the children influence others who can influence others. So that's what's new. We're using the same old methods, same old good old Torah and mitzvahs that never get old because they're eternal. But what's new is who's doing it. The Yiddish, men, women, children, even people who seem to be unaffiliated, people who seem to not have a connection, they do. And let's bring them in and get them to work because we need their work as well. Just such an encouraging and such a inspiring and such a, I don't know how to say it, but like it's so mechayevdik. It just puts you in an attitude of, I have work to do, right? Which is so much more appealing. It's a little counterintuitive, but so much more appealing than someone saying, I'm trying to sell you on something that's good for you. It reminds me of the Hayemim about the Alter Rebbe told the younger man, du redst so viel wegen was du darfst, aber was bedarf man dir? You speak so much about what you need, but what do you need it for? What do you need it for? That's what we want. We want to know what we're needed for. Okay. Bringen dem Nitzachen now, take of miyad. And when you bring in all these new reserves, of course, we're going to finish the job quickly. Weil wenn Yisrael eis in Tshuva, jeden anhebendig von Yiddish Jingelach und Medelach, was lehnen Teire und seine Mekai Mitzvahs, tun Tshuva, is miyad heinig Golem Mashiach kommt now. Because when the Jews will do Teshuvah, including little children, little boys and little girls, and learn Teire and do mitzvahs, so then immediately Mashiach comes. Und l'shuaschach kavisi kol hayem. Afilo eib yismameya, afilo ad Mashiach verhalt sich auf etliche Minot, even if Mashiach will delay for a few minutes, we wait for Mashiach every day. Other of etliche shah, or even a few hours. Other of a tag, or even if it's a day. It's kavinu kol hayem, every day, not just all day, but every day. Mahoft und mebet by dem Eibishten, dem ganzen Tag. We hope and we request from Hashem all day. As Mashiach soll kommen now, mamish, Mashiach should literally be here now. Gula amitas v'Hashem adem tzemach David avdecha malka Mashiach, the true complete redemption through the descendant of David, your servant, the Malka Mashiach. Okay.
Absolutely incredible, week after week.